Welcome back to the shed. It's your Grand Jedi Master, Man in the Shed, Annie P. Hope you're all well. So, this weekend we have WrestleMania 37 almost upon us. Hope we're all looking forward to that. So, what I thought I would do for my little Jedi friends is I would go back and watch WrestleMania, the original WrestleMania, the one on the 31st of March 1985, and we can see just how different the current product is. Well, one thing which is for sure obvious is the stages, the lighting, the sound, pretty much everything has improved. The only thing which perhaps hasn't improved is the commentary team, because the commentary team for WrestleMania was the late great Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura. Jesse the Body Ventura is one of the best color commentators, and for me, Gorilla is my all-time favorite play-by-play. Yes, he is above JR. Yes, he's above Michael Cole. Who knew? Anyway, one thing I do need to know though, because one of the beauties of Gorilla Monsoon was the way he would make up certain parts of the body. Like, where is your superplex? There you go. And it was pandemonium, and it was breaking down all the time, whatever that means. So we're going to have a quick look at WrestleMania then. So to start with WrestleMania, Howard Finkel, the ring announcer, started by introducing Mean Gene Okerlund, who to come into the ring, and he sung the American national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner. To be fair, he's got quite a good voice. Probably wouldn't be the choice of people who I would choose. The crowd was sort of like, really? We're going to do this, are we? So yeah, like I say, he didn't have a bad voice. So we started with Tito Santana taking on the Executioner. So what they would do then is they'd start with Gorilla Monsoon, who would then go back to some pre-recorded what they call interviews with the wrestlers before the match, and they did this on every match, to be fair. So they went back to Lord Alfred Hayes first as well, to get the back stage gossip and stuff and see what's happening. He didn't actually do anything. Don't see the point of him. All you got of him was the bad guy walking past him every time for the next match. But yeah, Tito Santana was there, and he was saying how he was going to take on this Executioner, and nobody knew anything about the Executioner. This is the one pre-interview which I'm really going to talk a little bit about. No one knew who the Executioner was, and then he came out, and Tito had, prior to WrestleMania, been having a little bit of beef with Greg the Hammer Valentine, and no one actually mentioned it in the commentary, or Mean Gene didn't mention it, but it was quite clearly that the Executioner was Greg Valentine, because it looked like him. Well, it was him, but they didn't mention it at all. And he said, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on his legs like Greg Valentine did. And everything there was shouting out, why are you not telling us that it's Greg Valentine? Why are you not telling us it's Greg Valentine? It's clearly Greg Valentine. It was Greg Valentine. No one mentioned it. Anyway, so the match starts. Doesn't take long. Eventually, Tito Santana wins. Who knew? But again, no one mentioned who it was. Then the next match was Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And in his corner, we have Luscious Johnny Valent. And he was taking on David Sammartino, and in his ring was former 2 times WWF World Champion Bruno Sammartino, the man who used to light up Madison Square Garden, a hometown hero, one of the biggest superstars in the history of professional wrestling. You know, we're going back before the likes of Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan here. We are going right back into times. Bruno was massive. You know, he's like modern day John Cena, Stone Cold, Bruno Sammartino. They're in the same stratosphere, if you like. Anyway, it was an okay match. You know, David could wrestle a bit. Eventually, Brutus throws him out of the ring, and Johnny Valiant attacks him. And then, who knew, Bruno would attack him, and it went to a no contest in the end. Didn't waste of time really, but it was alright. Then we had Ricky the Dragon Steamboat taking on Matt Bourne. Steamboat won. You know, Ricky was a fantastic wrestler. When he came back and took on Jericho, he actually managed to stay on for another match because he was still a quality wrestler. Two years later at WrestleMania 3, he put on one of the all-time classics with Macho Man, and it's still probably in the top 10 WrestleMania matches of all time. Then, as I remember this on the network, this match was actually second, and it was King Kong Bundy with Jimmy Hart taking on Special Delivery Jones. This match was 9 seconds. It was chuck him into the turnbuckle, do a slam on him. There you go, King Kong Bundy wins. Absolute waste of time. It took longer for them to get to the ring. It took longer for Howard Finkel to announce them. Bit of a rubbish match, really. Then we had the body slam match. So this was Andre the Giant taking on Big John Studd. Now, if he wins $15,000. If he loses, Andre retires. Well, you know, we all know that at WrestleMania 3, Andre the Giant took on the immortal Hulk Hogan, and therefore he must have won. He did. He threw the money to the crowd. Then Bobby Heenan grabbed the money off of him and ran to the back. And yeah, it was interesting. Then we had an Intercontinental Championship match. Junkyard Dog taking on Greg the Hammer Valentine with Jimmy Hart again in his corner. This one, the Junkyard Dog managed to win via a count out, and he was celebrating like he just won the Intercontinental title. Thing is, in the WWE, you don't win the title from a count out, so it went to him just winning. Wow, that was great. Then we had the World Tag Team Championships. So the world champions were Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik, and they had Classy Freddie Bassie in their corner. And they were taking on very young Mike Rotunda and Barry Windham. Mike Rotunda, if you don't know, is the Fiend Bray Wyatt's father and Bo Dallas's father. You know, and he came out and became Owen R. Shyster. But this is a very young version of him, and they became the new world champions. Yeah, it was, again, none of these matches are coming off as being that exciting because none of them were. We then had a women's title match where Wendy Richter with Cyndi Lauper defeated Layla Kai and the Fabulous Moolah, and she became the new champion. Well done. Then it was main event time. Woohoo! How exciting has it been so far? Not very. And Hulk Hogan with Mr. T, and they had Jimmy Superfly Snuka, the murderer, allegedly, in his corner, taking on Rowdy Roddy Piper and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. And they had Cowboy Bob Orton in that corner. Now, to be fair, there was one outstanding wrestler in this match, and that was Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. The rest of them, they weren't the best wrestlers. Mr. T certainly wasn't. But, for some reason, Gorilla Monsoon had to tell us that Mr. T, for 2 weeks, had been eating nothing but tuna and water. Why? Why do you need to tell us that? And why was he eating and drinking tuna and water? And that was it. How is that possibly going to help him in a ring? Anyway, it was a pretty rubbish main event, but the fans seemed to enjoy it. They went home happy after Hulk Hogan and Mr. T won, after Bob Orton had come down and hit his own man Paul Orndorff with His arm was in a cast, hit him on the back of the head, and of course Hulkster then pins him. Who knew? So, what did I think of it? Wow, I'm hoping WrestleMania 37 is going to be better. But to be fair, this is this is where wrestling WrestleMania started. So everything needs to start from somewhere. This is the acorn to what's become the giant oak tree. And yes, it was good. It took me a week to watch it because the matches weren't the best. One other thing, they could have done with tightening those ropes a bit because, when you watch wrestling nowadays and the ropes barely move, well, these are like this throughout the whole thing. And I'm thinking, yeah, they are very loose. But, it was a okay show. Like I say, looking forward to Saturday when we get day 1 of WrestleMania and then Sunday for day 2. Obviously, we've got NXT coming up as well for its takeover. Did also enjoy watching the Halls of Fame. But yeah, it was good. And all in all, I enjoyed it. So, if you have watched it through to the end, there it is. The review of WrestleMania. Would I say go watch it? Yeah, because you're going to see some history. But are you going to see the greatest wrestling of your life? Well, if you've never seen wrestling before, it will be. If you've seen other wrestling, probably not. Unless the wrestling you had watched was absolutely rubbish. But it was, it's worth going back, and it's nice having the option, and by having the network, you can go back and watch loads of special events and pay-per-views and Raws and SmackDowns of the past. So, do give us a like if you watch to the end. Thank you very much. See ya, pals.